This one you have to see to believe. Let me first read you the title. My boyfriend's wedding dress unveiled my own shortcomings over masculinity. Okay, have you ever seen the meme where you say something like my wife's boyfriend's son? They'll be like, well, my wife's boyfriend's son was at school today. Yes, this is the meme incarnate. A story of a woman who actually took a photo of her, I guess, her boyfriend skiing in her wedding dress, effeminately cheering when he found the right dress he wants to wear. And guess what she says? She really just wants a masculine guy. And she actually describes the guy from the brawny paper towel roll. Remember that guy? You get the paper towels, you got the guy, he's got the big broad shoulders and wearing flannel tucked into his blue jeans. I think he had an axe over his shoulder. This classical depiction of masculinity. That's what she really wanted. Oh, am I surprised at all? No, of course not. What's really sad about this story, though, is that she desperately tries to justify why she likes a guy who effeminately cheers for finding a dress. And then she talks about how when they're hooking up, she had to pull his dress off and it was like not a thing she liked. What's weird is the cult-like desire or need for these people to suppress how they really feel. Live your life. Stop being part of a cult. No one can tell you what to do. And if you don't like a dude because he wears a dress, it's fine if he wants to wear the dress, but go date somebody else. She's complaining because her ex-boyfriend was emotionally shallow. Sure, I understand that too. But man, did the pendulum swing so far in the other direction that you now sound weird. Look, you want to complain about your boyfriend because he's shallow and he doesn't have emotions, no depth, and he can't, talk to you about how you feel? You go find a nice regular guy. You don't swing all in the other direction and find the guy who wants to put on a dress. But let's read the story and see what's really going on. She writes, I'm quick to blame men for their toxic behavior, but in this case, I, the woman, was part of the problem. You see, as she goes on and writes, she talks about how internally she does not find it attractive when her boyfriend wears a dress. But that's toxic masculinity too. And she needs to get over those feelings and accept that she has an effeminate boyfriend giggling at wearing a dress. My gaze scanned the colorful racks of clothing and stopped abruptly on something I'd never expected to see. My boyfriend was clutching a wedding dress that he wanted to buy for himself. Emily, he cried with victorious glee, I've found the one. Ian thrust the white garment into the air like a NASCAR trophy. Its lace sleeves sashayed from the tapered bodice and fluffy tulle grazed the dirty tiles of the thrift store floor. A smile stretched across Ian's scruffy face, and his blue eyes danced with the giddy excitement of a bride saying, I do. Oh, wow, I managed to spit out. I gotta stop. Give you a caveat. I absolutely do not care if the guy wants to wear a dress. In fact, more power to you, man. When I was younger, I used to wear crazy punk rock clothes. We'd put on like a suit jacket and a loose tie and wear skin-tight black jeans and skate around looking like morons. And it was fun, and it was what I was into. And if you want to do it, man, do your thing. Don't let anybody tell you you can't be who you want to be. That's for damn sure. Now, my problem here isn't so much with this non-traditional gender role relationship. It's more so the fact that there's anguish in her story about how there's something she clearly does want, but for cult-like reasons is suppressing this and staying in a relationship that clearly weirds her out. She's acknowledging how it makes her feel bad and then tries justifying how she has to accept what she doesn't want for the cult. That to me is what's wrong with this. At the end of the day, I'll tell you what. I'm not going to interfere in your relationship. You do whatever it is you want in the privacy of your own home. You want to go skiing with a dude in the dress? My only real critique is going to be, it sounds pretty dangerous to wear a dress when you're skiing. Maybe you get your feet tangled up, might fall and get hurt. If you want, you can do whatever you want. What I'm really seeing here is a woman who does not like this. And instead of saying, hey, I'm not really into this, she's just going to bend the knee to this cult-like freaky ideology. We were at Goodwill searching for dresses to wear during the annual Mother's Day climb up Mount St. Helens. A decades-long tradition in which everyone scaling the volcano that day sports flowing garments in honor of female mountaineers and mothers everywhere. I knew Ian would be among the most outrageous on the mountain. My boyfriend is aggressively fun and a flair fanatic, which I find wildly attractive on most occasions. Like when he's scaling technical slopes in jorts and a cat shirt, or skiing the steepest lines in the Pacific Northwest in space tights. But I found myself unexpectedly uneasy with his new fondness for feminine frocks. A reaction that challenged the progressive ideals I'd prided myself on for decades. I'd long thought I was contributing to a progressive shift in how we define masculinity finally allowing men to be emotional and vulnerable, or to ask for help, or to hug their male friends, or to wear dresses. You live in a crazy bubble world, lady. Dude, I grew up with a bunch of punk rocky kind of skateboarders. Guess what? We hugged. It's like a normal thing, dude. Guys hug. Like, what is this? It's like they've created a caricature of reality. This weird progressive far left worldview must come from some strange clone lab where these people have never interacted. I'll tell you what. You know what I do typically when I see a friend, a dude I haven't seen in a while? It's like we shake hands and then we lean in for a hug. It's like, hey buddy, how you doing? We give a quick hug. Like, and guess what? When there's like pain and problems or like a loss, but my buddy's dog dies, I come in, I give him a hug. Listen, I'll tell you what. I think I know what it is. When you're surrounded by these weird effeminate types, these male feminist types, they're the socially awkward ones. Men who are charismatic and confident don't care what you think about them hugging someone else. And the reason why guys like that aren't going to cry is not because there's a conspiracy to tell boys not to cry. It's because they're stoic or in control of their emotions. They're stable. They think there's a time and a place for crying. That time is not now. I cried. I've cried a lot. When my dog died, you better believe I cried for like a week straight. You know why? It felt good. I missed my dog and it was sad. Had the dog for 14 or so years. And when his time finally came, it was painful. But there was a time and a place for crying. Not every guy is gonna not cry. Not every, guys typically tend not to cry. Women tend to cry more than men. But these people live in this strange, stereotypical feminist version of reality where they think all guys are joking about raping women or doing other ridiculous guy things, smacking butts. This is not the case. I once had a woman friend of mine, someone I knew. We were sitting down for coffee and she goes, be honest with me, Tim, like how many of your guy friends like are cool with rape? And I was like, what? This was when I worked at Fusion, right? The feminist outlet, the progressive far left. They went under, by the way. This is a true story. I kid you not. I was like, are you joking? 0. She goes, really? Like none of them? Come on. And I'm like, what do you mean? What world do you live in? I was like, dude, if me and my friends were sitting around and some dude started bragging about rape, we'd probably kick him out. We'd be like, dude, that is not cool. Like, are you being serious right now? And if the dude started bragging and like admitted to something, we'd probably call the cops on him or something like that. That's shocking to me. I hang out with a bunch of dudes who jump off buildings skateboarding, break their bones, twist their legs, tear their cartilage up. These guys are the like opposite of sissies. They're tough. They're chiseled. They take risks for fun. They jump off buildings for fun. I'm not kidding. Skateboarders jump off buildings for fun, if you didn't know that. Jumping off massive stairs, that's sliding down railings. Yeah, they're pretty independent, tough, and calm individuals. And no, we wouldn't settle for this. But this woman lived in that world. When I worked for Fusion, you're surrounded by nothing but these people who all believe in this paranoid, delusional state. And she actually asked me that. And I told her, I was like, dude, I'm sorry, man. I think if you really believe that, like, that's nuts. Now, I'm sure there are groups of guys that do that. They're called rapists, okay? Most guys aren't that. In fact, I would actually argue most guys' power fantasy is to save women from abuse, from a villain who would do them wrong. That's like what every single Disney movie is about. Okay, not every single one, but many of them. The heroic man comes to save the woman. He gets down on one knee and he takes her by the hand and gives her what she wants, saving her from the evil villain who's going to kidnap her so he could force her to marry him. I don't know where this idea comes from, but it's clearly a paranoid reality where you can have all of this every bit of our culture. They actually, these feminists criticize video games because of the male power fantasy of rescuing the damsel in distress, but then also believe the male power fantasy is to sit around behind the scenes gloating about how they are the villains who take advantage of women. Nah, y'all are just nuts. So anyway, that conversation with her wrapped up with her being like, oh, I don't know, I guess. And I'm just like, I can't believe this is how these people really think. Which brings me back to this lady who was unhappy. She says her boyfriend giggled, isn't it beautiful? His chest hair battled the sheer neckline. I imagined him skiing down Mount St. Helens in the lengthy rag concealing his chiseled calves and hardened blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read this over and over again. She says, well, this is not the first time I found myself a little uncomfortable with the sight of Ian in women's wear. It's not an unusual sight to spot him sporting a skirt, dress, or sarong at a party, picnic, or trailhead. He uses his unconventional apparel as a display of his individuality No, that's a cheap attempt at individuality. You see, people who are calm and confident don't care what they wear because they feel it inside. They don't need to make sure everyone else knows how unique they are. That's called peacocking. Like when a guy shows up to a party wearing a dress or like binoculars. Yeah, they're desperate for attention because they lack self-esteem and confidence. Basically, she goes on to say that she was really looking for a guy. Actually, she says flannel. Let me see if I can pull this up. There you go. These feelings illuminated some of the unanticipated boundaries of where I define attractiveness in men. And when I still crave traditional masculinity, I realized I wanted less dress and more flannel shirts, trucker hats, and sandstone Carhartts. When we left the store that day, Ian had a big bundle of wedding dress, and I had some big questions to consider. Yeah, about how about you date someone who you actually like and stop adhering to these insane things that make you feel bad and question who you are. Be true to yourself. Or you can do this. Like this Arwa Madawi says, masculinity is a trap, which is why more men should wear skirts. You know what, man? I about had it with all this nonsense. Listen, I don't understand how you can simultaneously argue that traditional gender roles are a bad thing. You personally prefer men who have a traditional masculine gender role, and then say, even though traditional gender roles don't matter, you should dress in a traditional feminine gender role. You know what, man? I'm so over this. Listen, lady, I'll tell you what. You want to date the dude at the end and she says, I promise I'm attracted to him. That makes me sound like you don't actually think you're attracted to the guy. And you're pretending because you feel bad, because you've been indoctrinated into this weirdo's progressive world of men wearing dresses. If in reality, you are personally attracted to dudes wearing dresses, I got no beef. I have absolutely no concern whatsoever with her dating a guy who wears a dress or a guy wearing a dress. I got no problem, man. Like I said, I used to wear really, really weird clothes. And as I always say, if you want to dress up like a clown and walk down the street juggling bananas, I got no beef at all. It's when you start throwing the bananas at people, I got a problem with you. In this instance, let me make it clear, and I'll wrap this up. She clearly is not attracted to this. She wrote an article about it. She's pretending to like it for social justice brownie points. Dude, if you want to date a guy who's wearing a flannel, trucker hat, then go date it. Or tell your boyfriend, take off the damn dress, put on a trucker hat. Or just keep it to yourself, I guess. I don't know, whatever. No, I shouldn't say that. Look, I get it. You can express yourself. Good for you on justifying your attraction to a guy you claim you're not attracted to. Whatever. I'm done. How about just do what you want to do? If you want to date somebody who wears dresses, just go do it. But clearly you don't, and you're pretending. I'll leave it there. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. and podcast at 6:30.